You know, the fact that people will criticize Korra before they criticize Roku is criminal. Hey, I'm Jacob Knight. Welcome back to my channel, and this is the Wednesday video. And today on Wednesdays, I just want to talk about a little controversy that many people probably have forgotten or didn't know existed. The Legend of Korra is finally back on Netflix, which is great. Korra is my girl, and when I first started watching it, I was amazed with how many people legitimately hated the character of Korra. I mean, there are so many other avatars you could hate, and what was even worse is that they would compare her to Aang, and that's just really weird because they're both their own people and individual experiences, and I would say that they both were very important avatars and did a lot of cool shit. Just thought, for those who weren't a part of the fandom at that time, that I would identify some of the main reasons that people disliked Korra in the first place. First of all, I'll just get it out of the way. Yes, there was misogyny. Yes, there was kind of a lack of introspective into the character and just writing them off based on very little evidence, which is a problem in all fandoms, but it was very popular among Korra just to be like, oh, I don't need to invest time, bad, the end. That's just kind of the base reasons people hated Korra, but I just want to go into a few of the reasons I think people didn't like Korra. First of all, I think people hated Korra because she and Aang started from very different places, and they didn't like where she started from. Just for instance, Aang started not only as a pacifist, as an underdog, he started very reactionary. Everything he did was a response to what someone else has done. And when you see someone be reactionary in a story, you sympathize with them because they weren't looking for trouble. They're the person who's being persecuted, the person who's being attacked. And over the series, he learns to become more assertive with his duties as Avatar and what that means to him in the world and how he becomes his own person. However, Korra was very proactive. She started from a very, I'm the Avatar, you better deal with it. That's literally the first sentence we hear from her. And I don't think people like that sort of aggression. They prefer, or at least they pretend to prefer, underdogs. And it's just the fact that they're like, oh, she's not a pacifist, she's so aggressive. That's why I think many people hated her. And I think also this point leads into my second point, number two. Wow, Korra's annoying. Many people didn't like the personality of Korra. It was very much like, oh, she's abrasive, she's loud, she thinks she knows better. And the thing is that she and Aang were raised in very different places. He was raised in kind of this free, peaceful existence, and she was raised in a very sheltered way. And it's funny because Aang's journey is very much learning how to be like the chosen one. Like, you're the one who has to fix things. Sorry, kid. What a blessing, what a burden to be a child whose the fate of goodness rests on their shoulders. And Korra kind of had to learn that, yes, you're the Avatar, but you're also a person. So that's kind of just, she had to learn to be a person, and that took a long time. It took through book 1 and book 2, and then at book 3 you start to see changes. Like, for instance, the way she handles, I'm not going to give any spoilers, the way she handles certain situations when she gets stuck in the desert, for those of us who know, the way Korra handles that in season 3 is entirely different from how she would have handled it in season 1. And season 3 really is the great shift within her character, when she starts to get a greater perspective and understanding of people as individuals and kind of detach from her, I'm the Avatar, whereas I'm a girl and I have issues and this, I have to learn to deal with them. And that's great because I would rather have someone who's very flawed for a couple seasons and eventually grows and becomes better than just kind of a repeat of Aang. You know, it was different, it was new, it was interesting. And although there's a lot of great lore in season 2, I was very worried about her character in season 2. So eventually she got better, which is cool. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan. Also, the third reason, da-da, da-da, Third reason people hated Korra was because it's not what they wanted. People who watched Avatar, they wanted more of Aang and the gang. See, I said Aang differently. You're welcome, people that were mad about that. Uh, Aang, because their adventures would be continued in the comics and everything, but people were just like, we want more Aang. We want to find out what happened to Zuko's mom. And when they're presented a platter of Korra, they're just like, what is this? What? Why do I want this? No. And that kind of jerk reaction of this isn't what I want, I'm not even going to give it a chance, is something that was actually a point of contention throughout the Avatar fandom. And even in now, like, I'll still see Instagram posts that's like, Korra's nice and all, but imagine what kind of adventures we would have gotten if we could see adult Aang. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, give me a comic. I'm sure there'll be comics of it. I mean, just Korra's story was important to tell. Like, we learned, people forget how much lore is in Legend of Korra. We found out about the first Avatar. We found out about the Red Lotus. We found out the rebirth of the Air Nation. We see more metal bending stuff. It's great. It's really great. Give Korra a chance. Reason number 4. One of the reasons that people don't like Korra, which is something I can actually understand, is kind of the romance aspect of Korra. From the first episode, Aang and Katara are kind of set up as like endgame. It's kind of there. If you're like, oh, I know tropes. They smile at each other. Kid show connection. Okay, they're gonna end up together. Like, that's kind of laid out in front of you. So even when there's drama, you're like, it'll be over. But with Korra, there was love triangles here and there, as particularly in the first and second season, and it kind of went in circles. And I think people got kind of annoyed by the romance, which is kind of why it was, for the most part, dropped in season 3 and picked up slightly in season 4. Because funny, because if you picture, this is high school, like season 1, I would argue, you know what, honestly, I would argue that freshman year is season 2, sophomore season 1, junior's season 3, and senior is season 4, where you leave and go to college and get a lesbian girlfriend, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I kind of always structured it. But yeah, the romance has been not the best, but I think in the end of the entire series, it's kind of, it settles itself, which is fine and annoying, and I have issues with some of the relationships there, but you get over it. And it's not something you shouldn't be like, oh, I'll get over it. Like, criticize it if you want. It's a genuine criticism. So this is also something I also have a problem with, but it's whatever for me. Fifth and final reason that I think people dislike Korra is something that I think is very subjective, and that is that it's boring. I very much disagree, but I've seen many people say Korra is very boring, the plots are interesting, the characters are interesting, and I can kind of agree and disagree with that, and that's very much up to your own tastes and likes, but I would never say that Korra is boring, because there's always something going on. Similar to Avatar, it kind of has an episode structure where there's no real filler episodes, and everyone links into each other, and although there's times that we waste focusing on certain things that don't entirely come up, the episodes as a whole all connect really well, and they all matter. So I've never been bored, but I can understand if it's just not your cup of tea, then that's totally fine, you know? So thank you for watching this video. I know last Wednesday I didn't post anything. Sorry. If you follow me on my Twitter, Jacob Knight, JK, I got into a discussion with a friend about how Lord of the Rings Return of the King is better than Endgame, and I 100% believe that, so that will probably be my next video on Sunday. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to yell at me and tell me how I'm wrong, go in the comments. I'll take it. I love a discussion. Give me all those thoughts. I'll eat them up. Remember, don't subscribe and don't like. Don't like and don't subscribe, but don't forget to comment. Check you later.